Friends and family,
About 71 years.
friends and family, good afternoon and welcome to WMed. Thank you for joining us for the annual Donor Remembrance Ceremony. This is actually one of the favorite parts of my job because it's a chance to express our gratitude and celebrate the priceless gift of you and your loved one's donation. Today, you will notice the repeated themes of thankfulness and sacrifice. It is so hard to express in words the meaning and future impact of your loved one's donation. By the end of the ceremony, I hope that even if you had doubts about your loved one's decision to donate, you will know that this decision was right and good. So with that, I would like to first introduce the Dean of the Medical School, Hal Jensen.
Thank you, Jared, and thank you all of you for joining with us today, and welcome on this beautiful fall day to the medical school and to our annual Donor Remembrance Ceremony. This is a very special day for the medical school, for our medical students, and we hope especially for you as families. On this day of remembrance, we honor and give our appreciation for your loved ones who have given of themselves in a very special way. The gift of your loved ones is a unique and wonderful gift to our medical students in training, and as we consider their future, as they graduate and become physicians in our communities and across the country, and they take care of us, our children, our grandchildren, and our families and friends, the gift of your loved ones will have an impact for the many decades of their career, wherever these students choose to graduate and practice. The gift of your loved ones is much more than merely helping our students learn about anatomy, which is certainly an important part of medical education. And it cannot be replaced by technology. But the gift they give has many other aspects besides helping them to learn anatomy. For many medical students, this may be the first time that they've ever touched mortality and to come to an understanding of mortality, not only for your loved ones, but also for themselves. As physicians, we must be competent and compassionate in the scientific and biological aspects of medicine, but also meeting the psychosocial, psychological, and spiritual aspects of life. Your loved ones are not just a physical body. They don't represent just biology and anatomy, but we view them as holistic beings with a psychosocial and spiritual features that come together as a body and soul. Sometimes as physicians, we may focus too much on the disease. The gift of your loved ones helps our students learn and helps all of us remember that individuals are not diseases, and we don't treat diseases, we treat individuals. We treat individuals, and behind every diagnosis is a patient. Behind every disease is the illness that is the unique expression of what that patient experiences. Behind every illness is a face and a soul. Your presence today also reminds us that we not only treat individuals, but we also treat families. And that to us, the family is the patient. And so we thank you and thank your loved ones for what they have done, and we try to express our thanks today in words which will fail. To each one of the medical students who received this gift, to the medical profession, we thank you collectively for giving the gift of understanding anatomy, the gift of understanding illness, the gift of understanding mortality, the gift of understanding body and soul, and the gift for understanding the humanism of medicine. And to the family members who joined with us today, we give special thanks for allowing your loved ones and supporting your loved ones in their choice to give this gift. In this donor remembrance ceremony, you're going to hear from many of our medical students today and others as they share their thoughts through poetry, music, reflections, as a way for our medical students and us to honor your loved ones. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Wendy Lackey-Corneliuson. She's assistant professor in the Department of Biomedical Sciences and also directs the anatomy education for our medical students. Wendy?
Good afternoon. As Dean Jensen said, I am the director of the anatomy component of our medical students' education. And in this role, it is my job to make sure that students learn the anatomy that they need to be competent physicians. But I must tell you, they learned so much more than anatomy from your loved ones. They learn what sacrifice really means. And I hope you can see how much they appreciate this gift. And that you can see this in their letters, their poems, and the songs today. And from the handmade flowers made by a student for each family member to take. I hope you can also see this in the donor memorial tree. This was a labor of love from a senior student. From the first moments in the anatomy lab, Dan Furman decided that he wanted to do something special to honor those donors. He came to me and said, "What can we do? I want to be a part of this." And so began the work to find a proper monument. Dan and I discussed what symbol was best suited to reflect the special relationship between donors and students, and we decided on a tree. A tree is a powerful symbol of growth, wisdom, and eternal life. And like the patients they will see, trees have unique personalities. Some sway and move with the winds, while others stand rigid against the wind. Some change little over the course of a year, while others change dramatically with each season. The monument, the donor memorial tree, needed to be special like the donors they represented, and a permanent fixture of the medical school that they contributed to. After meeting with glass artists, we knew that the glass sculpture with each leaf representing a donor in the program was perfect. I think the leaf is a perfect representation of our donors. While in the spring and summer of life, the leaf is green and full of hope, nourishing the tree and the world around it, just like your loved ones, living life and providing love and joy to everyone they touched. But eventually fall must come, and the tree must say goodbye to the leaf. And though no longer physically connected, the leaf takes a new role on the forest floor, finding a new way to nourish the tree. And so, like our donors, who have found a new way to nourish the world with their gift, they will live on, incorporated back into the tree, to help it continue to grow and spread its branches. Your loved ones are part of these students. They are in the foundational core of the knowledge that they will take when they work with patients. They will take that knowledge and spread out like the branches and continue to spread the love and joy that your family members had in life. I hope you will see the leaves on the donor tree as I do. Each hand-blown glass reflects the uniqueness of each and every donor. The splendor reflects the beauty of the soul that gave this last precious gift. And so with that, I would like to thank your loved one, and I would like to thank all of the friends and family members. I know what you've done, and it is not an easy thing. I myself am not sure I can do it. And so your gift is that much more precious. because you gave of yourself as well. And I promise you in my role that these students that you see behind you, they appreciate it. They appreciate everything you've done. And so with that, I thank you. And I'd like to introduce our student performers, Natasha Harris, Ryan Maziras, Robert Welch, Jordan Jabera, and Tyler Ulrich, who will be performing Let It Be. As the students, as our second year students wind down their foundational years and get ready to head into the clinics, I ask them to write a reflection about what your loved one's gift meant to their education. And so that is this next component that you'll be listening to, what they think and feel and the impact that your loved ones had on their future as a physician. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Melissa Pullman.
Hello, my name's Melissa, and I will be reading a reflection by Brett Dempsey, a fellow medical student. Selflessness, a term I thought I knew before I came to medical school. I remember writing about it as a reason I wanted to go to medical school, to be selfless and to help others. While my desire to be selfless has not changed, my perception of this word has. I remember walking into the anatomy lab nervous the first day, not sure what I would see or if I would be able to get a grasp on all the information being thrown at me. As soon as I began learning in that lab, my energy switched from nervousness to fear. I was afraid that I wasn't someone who had embodied selflessness like these people had. I was afraid that I wasn't deserving of the gift that these people had given to us, just so that we could learn. A year later, I have finally settled on how to feel about the anatomy lab. Grateful. I am forever indebted to the donors and their families, and I am forever grateful for their gift. I promise to always hold this gift dear and strive to embody the selflessness of the donors and their families. I will try to treat patients with the humility and grace that we are so lucky to have displayed for us in this community. Thank you for you and your loved ones' selflessness. It does not go unappreciated. Sincerely, Brett Dempsey. And next, I'd like to introduce Kelsey Schultz.
Hello. I'd like to start off by saying thank you to all of you here in this room, to those that couldn't be here today but wanted to be, and to your loved ones, the real reason we're all here today. I'll say thank you again, but I wanted to start by saying it because thank you can only begin to cover our gratitude for the gifts the donors have given us. And hopefully a few of the other things I say here can attempt to cover some of the rest of that gratitude. As you know, we're all medical students hoping to become physicians. And as you might also guess, we love to learn. I love to read too, and the school gives us plenty to both read and learn. Lecture PowerPoints, test prep books, research articles, and we soak it all up, memorize it, and file it away like we've done in school for our entire lives. We have that kind of learning down to a science. But we're also entering a field centered around people. And while we can read all about how a person's heart beats and learn how your brain keeps telling your lungs to fill with air, the reality is that people aren't books. A year ago, I heard that in lab, the donors would be our first real patients, and I couldn't quite understand what that meant. However, having worked alongside and learned from them many times since then, I believe I'm starting to understand. They've been able to teach me in ways that no book, professor, or physician can effectively put into words, and teach us not only about the physical body itself, but how to respect and care for a person in their most vulnerable state. To receive care in medicine, you have to put yourself in a pretty vulnerable position, and it takes courage to open up and show that vulnerability to anyone, especially doctors who could be complete strangers. Yet your loved ones, without even knowing us, chose to share a part of themselves in a way most people would never dream of. That bravery and selflessness and hope they had to perform such a giving act is something I myself and probably everyone here could take a lesson from all by itself. Anatomy is also different from the rest of school in other ways, though. I can almost entirely assure you that everyone here has lost someone close to them. And I can assure you that every student here has a passion for the field of medicine we're pursuing together. and we carry both of those pieces of ourselves with us to the lab, whether we're aware of it or not. When we're in the lab, there's silence, less so as we've come to know your loved ones in a different way than you may have known them, but yet in a personal way nonetheless. But there's also curiosity and laughter and growth. Really, there's life, and your loved ones are still a part of it all with us. I recently got a tattoo of an ampersand, the fancier and symbol. And as I was writing this, I felt like it was worth mentioning here, mostly because I chose it for its reminder that although things don't last forever and life ends, an ampersand is a broken infinity sign, in a way, there's still always an and. More to the story, more to come ahead. Death in particular seems like a hard ending to a story, but in another sense, I see all of the donor stories continuing in all of you here today, and all that we're learning from them, and all that we can then give to our next patients. I still get a certain feeling when I see a donor's hair or fingernails. I can now picture my tattoo on someone's wrist in there. Who we're working with is not lost on me or any of us. Your loved ones who donated so much had faith in us and our futures, and we won't carry that lightly. We're learning to build that faith in ourselves and each other for the people we'll treat in the future, and I truly hope that you have that faith in us too. So I said I would say it again. I could say it so many times over for how lucky my classmates and I are to be in the position we are and surrounded by such amazing people. But from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for coming today and for all you and your loved ones have given. We can't and won't ever forget our first patients and hope to continue the cycle of giving the donors are continuing to create. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce one of my fellow students, Rachel Lalak, for the next reading.
To our generous donors and their families. When we first stepped into the anatomy lab as a class, I was nervous. I was unsure how to approach this ultimate gift that was given to us. Gingerly, we moved the coverings and began our anatomical journey of the body. These days, the anxiety has waned, but the respect for the sacrifice remains. As I identified muscles in the legs, I think about how you walked through life. Looking at connections within the brain, I wonder what occupied your mind from day to day. Holding a heart in my hands, I feel the loved ones it once beat for. Tracing airflow through the lungs, I imagine what sights must have taken your breath away. Through your donation, I am able to learn. We study the body in order to understand the similarities between all people. Yet even anatomically, there are things that make us unique. Some differences were there at birth, and you may not have even known of them. Others were acquired over time, a hint to how you must have lived. I thank you deeply for the contribution you have made, both to our education and to the future of healthcare. One day we will be physicians, and we will make use of the knowledge that you have given to us. Our future patients will expect excellent care, and your gift allows us to make that possible. Because of your generosity, we can help those in need. With this letter, I promise to study diligently, to remain thoughtful, and to be as unselfish as you have been to us. I cannot fully express my appreciation here, but I hope to show it in my actions each day when I employ what I have learned. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce another classmate of mine, Khadija Hussain, who will be reading her poem, The First Patients.
The first patients. I met my very first patients in the anatomy lab that day. I saw their lifeless bodies, embalmed, cold, and gray. Up on the 7th floor, away from the rest of the world, I was surrounded by their bodies, eyes shut, fingers curled. But I took another second, and I couldn't help but think, what was this woman's life like, her nails still painted pink? Did she have a spouse? Or kids who she loved dearly, perhaps even grandchildren who now missed her severely? What about this man here? I'm looking at his head, but in mine I can only wonder who he might have been. What comprised his journey, and in what did he find pride? Did he love to play guitar or travel far and wide? I examined the artery of another, the calcifications it amassed. Is this what brought his troubles? Is this how he had passed? I wonder about these people. Who lies behind those eyes? Did they lead fulfilling lives upon reaching their demise? I'm grateful for their contribution. It has given me so much, and now I get the opportunity to learn as I see and touch. With their help, I'll learn the muscles, the tendons and ligaments too. I'll understand the vessels and nerves, the networks they're woven through. I'll learn all about the lungs, the liver, heart, and brain, and then when people come to see me, I will try to ease their pain. One day I'll teach my patients as I join the League of Healers, but today these patients in the lab, they're my greatest teachers. So to all the family here today who've come to honor their loved ones, the mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, the daughters, and the sons, we want you all to know they've done a noble service, donating their bodies for education in an act ever so earnest. The legacy of your loved ones lies not only within these walls, but when we leave and start to practice, it will spread through hospital halls. The generosity can't be understated. Our gratitude is infinite and then some, for helping us help future patients for years and years to come. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce the WMed Choir with Let the Life I've Lived Speak for Me.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abby, and I'm a member of the Department of Pathology. I'll now begin the official thanking of this past year's donors. Linda Barrett. Alan Beckman. John Buckout. Richard Brand. Sarah Carter. Alice Conroy. Carl Cutzinger Jr. Jane Erickson. Sally Fecken. Richard Fox. Aura Garut. Claire Hewitt. Larry Hopp. Wayne Johnson. Theodora Kimmel. Brett Kovach. Carol Libby. Juanita McKenzie. Michael Morrison. Marilyn Nebulum. Lawrence Pugh. Sakal Punatar. David Ringnalda. Jack Sanders Sr. Robert Tate. Sharon Trumps. Donald Tunier. Deborah Vandenbosch. Stephen White. At this time, we ask that you please rise for the presentation of colors to honor our donors who were service members. Today's color guard is presented by the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety. this time, please join us in observing a moment of silence for all of our donors. Thank you, and please continue to stand for the retirement of colors.
You may be seated. I hope you understand how much your loved ones mean to these students, and I am completely honored to be in the presence of the family and friends of the donors that gave of themselves to be a student's first teacher and first patient, and gave the more advanced student the opportunity to improve their skills. You have heard the students' perspectives on their appreciation for the gift of our donors. I want to share my own appreciation. My favorite part of this work is the lifetime relationships I've made. I am privileged to meet and know these remarkable individuals. Every donor I meet by phone or in person has a story, and I want to know their story because there's something special and admirable about these people and their families. Many of the donors and family members of donors become my dearest friends. I love to tour the building with the veteran who shares his war stories and tells me how Western Michigan University and the Kalamazoo community has done so much for him, and he just wants to give back somehow. Or the donor spouse who travels across the state once a month to meet her high school classmates, and I meet up with them occasionally for lunch to swap stories. I look forward to the donor's spouse who will occasionally meet me at the coffee shop to share stories of her deceased husband who was a mechanic and loved to sail. And then there's the touching story of a father who spent his life giving and fought for his country's independence. Each of you should know that your loved one's donation will impact these students and their future patients. Without the donors and their supportive families, there would be an important missing element to these students' education, most important being their firsthand understanding of mortality and sacrifice. Finally, on behalf of the medical students in the medical school, I want to say thank you to the donors for this priceless gift. And thank you to the donor families for supporting your loved ones' wishes. You and your loved ones will always be part of the WMed family. Thank you for coming today. Please visit the donor memorial tree and join us for a reception outside the auditorium. And one last thing I want to make clear to you is that for those individuals who were not able to attend this service, in a few weeks, this service will be available on our body donation website. Thank you.